no ça que trop agovie être agovie we po ya telenge le kamera de que c'est la mieux no enyoye et puis ben ça dubi na maye pa no lesu bene asafache mi ngege Kudzragbe Agovie di no ne
Adu and allied family of the Agovie section, subsection of the Kudzragbe clan of Adan traditional area, Big Adan of the Greater Accra region on Thursday, 13th July 2023. Numeli, Wonome, Wekuli, Kudzragbe Wechongwa, Sonli, Folin, Maniye, Bezangma, Okosideni Chulin, Kenofen on Ebahio, Nye Manye. You are welcome. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, thank you so much for honoring our invitation, though it was a very short notice to you. We do appreciate your presence here in our family general meeting. With your presence here today, we have no doubt your ardent reportage will escalate the purpose of our meeting to the whole world. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, the purpose of the meeting here today is to update our larger family member and the general public on our Kudzragbe Ada case, to explain to you the state of the judgment delivered and received, and to tell you the way forward through you. I'll begin with the background of it. We are aware that after the demise of Turn-Mensah the fourth, it is the turn of Mensah Adu family, the fifth, of the Agovie section to ascend the throne. But the Ameto Kwame Olua family, which had intended to the Asavachengwa too, already were pushed by the only troubleshooter and selfish man in the Kudzragbe that we all know, to hurriedly and secretly install another Asavachengwa again without the knowledge of the Mensah Adu family members. Of course, this event made the kingmakers of Mensah Adu family to quickly take all the necessary steps and nominated, selected, and installed Mr. Godwin Chachu Mensah as the true and proper Asavachengwa, the fifth, per the customary practice, usage, and the law. This matter had been intervened by a 9-member fact-finding committee that was constituted by the paramount chief and the president of the Adan Traditional Council, which declared Mr. Godwin Chachu Mensah and stood by the Mensah Adu family as the validly nominated, selected, and stood as the fifth, with a whooping 6-3 majority decision in September 2020. That is the first win and the punch number 1 for us.
Wow.
After that, I will take you through the planned court cases against the newly confirmed Asavachengwa, the fifth, and his elders. Gentlemen of the media, even while the case was being arbitrated by the paramountcy, and upon realizing that they will not succeed, the Kudzragbe troubleshooter added the spokesperson for the Ameto Kwame Olua family to himself, and under false pretense sued the newly confirmed Asavachengwa fifth and 2 of his elders at the High Court B, Tema, praying the court to place an injunction on Mr. Godwin Chachu Mensah not to hold himself out as Asavachengwa Chachu Pediator the fifth. Their case was struck out immediately by the court. The ruling is here. I can let you have it after for your own perusal. That is another punch. Not satisfied still, they amended their writ and prayed the court for an interlocutory injunction on Asavachengwa Chachu Pediator the fifth and his elders, and that we claim we are the Asavachengwa and we are selling Kudzragbe family lands. At the hearing of their motion, they were asking the court to do against us. The court rather placed in an injunction on them. The ruling is also available, which I'll make it available to you. That is another punch. This time around, the disgruntled Ameto people and their assigns, agents, privy, workmen heavily prevailed on the paramount chief and his fact-finding committee not to publicly read out the 6-3 majority report. This made us the the Mensah Edu family to file a mandamus motion in the High Court, Accra, to compel the paramount chief to publicly read his committee report. Whilst the case pens in court, the confused Ametowe people instigated one Nomo Tebi Agbozo and clothed him as title of the Mensah Edu family, who purportedly filed a joinder application through lawyer Alfred Agbeshi, challenging our head of family's capacity to sue. The court struck that application out immediately, with a cost of 1,000 Ghana cedis awarded against them. That is another punch that needs to be celebrated. As if they are not tired, when people appeal against the decision by the High Court in the Court of Appeal, there too the appeal was dismissed outright with another cost of 10,000 Ghana cedis, which up to now they couldn't pay. That is another point that was successfully achieved. As they were failing in all their pursuit, one of their lawyers, the much respected Chris Akume, Esquire, advised them to CS and make peace, which they arrogantly declined, and their lawyer threw out their fight to them, and they appointed another lawyer. When people were advised to CS, that is with the Mensah Edu and allied family, before the Judicial Committee of the Ada Traditional Council over the chieftaincy matter again, which they did. So the late Asafachengwa Saki Keteni IV and two others brought a letter to the Accra High Court and prayed the High Court for withdrawal of the mandamus case for settlement. The court acceded to their prayer, hence the Kudzragbe Ada chieftaincy case in the Ada Traditional Council. Whilst the chieftaincy case was pending, the Gbebi Maujinwa family, which has all this while joined the Ametowe people, claiming they are one family unit within the Agovia session, also ran to the High Court A Tema with another case against Mr. Godwin Chachu Mensah, that is the newly installed Asafachengwa V, and two of his elders again. Their claim this round was that the Gbebi family is the rightful family to spearhead the burial and funeral rites of the late Nene Chachu Pediator IV, and that they envisage our interference in the burial rite, so the court should declare the Gbebi Maujinwa as such and enjoin us. Their case failed, and cost of 3,000 Ghana cedis was also awarded against them. That is another punch to be celebrated. This time round, we cited their masterminded and troubleshooter Daniel Kurantin Fietigamo and the Ametowe spokesperson, Mr. Eric Ametokwami, for contempt of court separately when they disobeyed the court injunction pending on them by going to sell a family's land. They were actually convicted and sentenced, and they ended up paying a total of 19,800 cedis. That is 6,000 cedis plus another 19,200 to the state, and to pay another 10,000 Ghana cedis to us, which up to date they have still not paid the cost. So another punch to be celebrated. These judgments are also available, which I'll make it available to you for your perusal. I will also take you to the Asafachengwa chieftaincy case that is pending in the Kudzragbe. The title of the case is as follows: Nene Professor Alester Ametokwami and two others, be the petitioners and all the plaintiffs, versus Godwin Chachu Mensah and four others, being the first to fifth respondent and all the defendants, and Henry Ofuepediator and four others, being the sixth to 10th respondent or and defendant. The suit number is ATC/JC P7/21. The above mentioned case commenced on the 14th September 2021 and ended on 4th May 2023. The number of times we sat in court in the appearance count to 41 times. The delivery of the verbal judgment. The verbal judgment was delivered on the 4th of May 2023, which parties were asked to come for the judgment in the meantime. Upon delivery of the judgment, the petitioners were made to believe that they have won the case. Notices of appeal and stay of execution filed. After the delivery of the judgment, the 6th to 10th respondent on 4th May, that is the same day the judgment was delivered, filed for the notice of appeal and stay of execution. The 1st to 5th respondent also did same on 16th May 2023. The 6th to 10th respondent filed stay of execution on 8th May 2023. Now to the judgment. The perverse judgment and its matters arising. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, and the certified true copy of the judgment was actually collected on 16th of June 2023 at 15:07 GMT. Upon receiving and viewing the certified true copy, it still remains indisputable that the judgment is against the weight of evidence adduced at trial, and same is indeed perverse. The major component of the judgment read as follows. First, the reliefs by the petitioners. In order to resolve the issue related to the right person that must ascend the Asafachengwa stool, the petitioners therefore commenced this action by a statement of claim filed on the 17th of May 2022, claiming jointly and severally against the defendant or respondent the following reliefs inter alia. A declaration that the purported nomination, election, and installation of first defendant Turn-Mensah as Asafachengwa of the Kudzragbe clan of the traditional area of the Adan traditional area by the 2nd to the 5th defendant herein is unlawful and contrary to the customary practices and usages pertaining to the installation and ascension to the Asafachengwa stool of the Kwebi and allied families of the Agovia Gate of the Kudzragbe clan, and same must be declared as null and void ab initio. B. A declaration that the second defendant, Aaron Kofi Agbozo, who is holding himself out as the stool father of the Asafachengwa stool of the Kudzragbe clan of the Adan traditional area, is unlawful and contrary to the customary practices and usages of the Kwebi and allied family of the Agovia Gate of the Kudzragbe clan of Adan. C. A perpetual injunction restraining the first defendant herein from holding himself out and styling himself as the Asafachengwa Nene Chachupediator, the 5th. The counterclaims by 1st to 5th defendant, ladies and gentlemen of the media, is as follows. It is the case of the 1st to 5th defendant that from their historical root, they are much qualified to ascend the throne of the Kudzragbe clan's Asafachengwa. The 1st to 5th defendant finally contended that the plaintiff action is frivolous, vexatious, and incompetent, and prayed that same be dismissed. They therefore counterclaim in paragraph 220 to 23 of their statement of defense, which reads as follows. A declaration that the nomination, selection, and installation of the first defendant to Mr. Turn-Mensah as the Asafachengwa of the Kudzragbe clan of Adan traditional area by the kings, including the kingmakers, including the 2nd to 5th defendant, is lawful, valid, and full compliance to the customary practices and usages pertaining to the installation and ascension to the Asabachenwa stool. A perpetual injunction restraining the plaintiffs herein from self-styling themselves as kingmakers of the Kudzragbe clan, having appointed another person, Asabachenwa, other than Asabachenwa Chachupediator the fifth. A perpetual injunction restraining the plaintiffs herein of the Ameto Olu Akwami family and the Bebi and the allied families, their descendants, their previous assigns and servants, or whoever discretion from interfering in the affairs of the Asabachenwa stool of the Kudzragbe clan of the Adan traditional area, and a cost inclusive of the legal fees. The case of the 6 to 10 defendants, ladies and gentlemen, while the suit was ongoing, an allied family of the Gbebi, Monjumwa Fiegbo, who described themselves as Fiegbo Pediator family, applied on 27th April and was joined to the case on as the 6th to 10th defendant. The case of the 6th to the 10th defendant are the direct descendants of the first and second Asabachenwa of the Kudzragbe clan, and as such, they are the only persons qualified to ascend the Asabachenwa stool of the Kudzragbe clan of Adam. The case of the 6th to 10th defendant denying the plaintiff's claim that they belong to the same family within the Agovia gate. The 6th to 10th defendant contended that they lost their right to be selected to ascend the Asabachenwa stool to the Ameto Kwame family in the year 1955 and to the Gbebi Monjumwa family in 1978 due to a family issue involving their grandfather, the late Asabachenwa the second, who was later destooled in 1955, and which matter has remained unresolved up to date. The issues for trial or for point of reference. The issues set down for the determination were this. Issue A, whether or not the nomination, election, and installment of Francis Chachu Olua on the 10th of December 2019 by the petitioners under the stool name Asabachenwa Chachupediator the 5th to succeed the demise Asabachenwa Chachupediator the 4th to succeed was valid in accordance with the relevant customary law and practices of the Kudzragbe clan. There should be for trial is this: whether or not the nomination, election, and installment of Godwin turn-Mensah by the 2nd to 5th defendant under the stool name Asabachenwa Chachupediator to succeed the 5th to succeed the demise Asabachenwa Chachupediator the 4th was valid and in accordance with the relevant customary law and practices of the Kudzragbe clan. Issue C, whether or not the following demise of Asabachenwa Chachupediator the 4th, it is the 6th to 10th defendant that have the right to nominate, elect, and install the next heir to the Asabachenwa stool of the Kudzragbe clan of Adam. In conclusion, by reason of the foregoing, we are therefore of the considered opinion that the installment, election, and appointment of Asabachenwa Chachupediator the 5th cannot be invalidated customarily and in law. The appointment continues to be valid and it shall be recognized as such. However, we must hasten to add that following the reign of Asabachenwa Chachupediator the 5th, the stool fathers are to ensure that the next occupant of the stool be selected from the direct descendant of the late Pediator the 2nd, who describe themselves as the Fiegbo Pediator family of the Agovia Gate. This is because they also have the right, by virtue of their position of holding the Asabachenwa twice, that is, the first and second Asabachenwa. However, their status as being persons who have the right to ascend the throne does not invalidate the installment of Asafachengwa the fifth, who was installed in 2019, in accordance with the relevant custom, usage, and practice that has been employed over time. After the reign of the next person to be appointed from the line of the 6th to 10th defendant, we further hold that insofar as the family of the 1st to 5th defendant are also from the Agovia gate, we the panel contend that they should accordingly be given the right to ascend the Asafachengwa stool for peace to prevail. For the avoidance of doubt, after the reign of the person to be selected from the family of the 6th to 10th defendant, that person should be succeeded by a person to be elected and stood and selected from the family of the 1st to 5th defendant in this suit, after which it shall return to the lineage and the family of the petitioner herein. The process shall continue on a rotational basis in the regard ad infinitum. Cost of 5,000 Ghana cedis awarded against the 1st to 5th defendant, jointly and severally in favor of the petitioners. The cost of 5,000 Ghana cedis is also awarded against the 6th to 10th defendant, severally in favor of the petitioners. Now to the summary and evaluation of the said judgment. Ladies and gentlemen of the media and all gathered here, we shall end this press conference by summarizing the conclusion of the whole judgment. The judgment, essentially at paragraph 69, and in fact, the Judicial Committee, in spite of everything, does solemnly 1. Affirm that the right to nominate, select, and install or install Asafachengwa of the Kudzragbe clan is that of the Agovia session, expressly stated in paragraph 57 and 62 of the judgment. Second, affirm that there are 3 families constituting the Agovia section of the Kudzragbe clan, which are 1. The Metokwami Olua family, 2. The Mensah Adu and allied families, and 3. The Gbebi and Fiegbo allied families. Thirdly, affirm that the Mensah Adu and allied families, being members of the Agovia session, since time immemorial, are taking part in installation of Asafachengwas, being kingmakers, which is a recent act, has the right to the Asafachengwa stool of Kudzragbe clan. That a person must be selected, elected, and installed from the family of the 1st to the 5th defendant to ascend the Asafachengwa stool, insofar as the 1st to 5th defendant are also members of the Agovia session. Fourthly, heard that the opinion that the 1st and 2nd Asafachengwas hailed from the family of the 6th to 10th defendant. Fifth, affirmed that for over 60 years, the 6th to 10th defendant, that is the Fiegbo family, could neither challenge the installment nor the subsequent installment, and as such, lost their right to ascend the Asafachengwa stool after their grandfather, Nene Ofue Pediator II, had been distilled and banned for a forbidden act. 6. Affirmed that since 1955, 2 different persons had occupied the Asafachengwa stool, being Asafachengwa Piko Pediator III and Asafachengwa Chachu Pediator IV. 7th, affirmed that the Asafachengwa stool of the Kudzragbe clan is not a bloodline property of the 6th to 10th defendant, that is the Fiegbo family, nor a sole preserve of the petitioners. Affirmed that by the reasons of the foregoing and the fact and evidence provided at trial, there exists succession by rotation to the Asafachengwa stool of the Kudzragbe clan, and that rotational basis must continue ad infinitum, also in paragraph 69. 9. Affirm that the installment, election, appointment of Asafachengwa Chachu Pediator the 5th cannot be invalidated customarily and in law. The appointment continues to be valid and it shall be recognized as such. Also in paragraph 69. Ladies and gentlemen and all gathered here, from the foregoing, it still remains undeniable fact that the judgment is indeed against the weight of overwhelming evidence adduced at trial. This confirms that the judgment is perverse. The petitioner's assumption and thinking that they have been declared winners is not just false but a fallacy. Candidly ignore them entirely. Accordingly, the intended adoring plan to be carried out by the petitioners is illegal and if done will amount to contempt of court and shall be nullified since there are pending notices of appeal and stay of execution pursuant to the section 34 of the Chieftaincy Act 2008 at 759. Let us remain peaceful but also vigilant. Now the way forward. The settlement of records to be conducted at the Adan Traditional Council and subsequently at the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs, Dodowa. Long live Agovie, long live Fuvie, and long live Amlande, and long live the Kudzragbe clan, and long live the Adan state. Thank you all for your attention and audience. God bless you.
Thank you. Yo, nyepeno opposite kanye biwo kanke asafo chengwa yemi ingenge Kudzragbe mawo nyeke asenya fin secha pichon ko ba Kudzragbe wetu mi ngada wange agbongwa eten Fuvie Amlade Kagovie Fuvie biomo ke basu heko kejiblema Fuvie jihene atuo wetu yinge ne Agovie hene ijio alo ne wo wajio atuo asafo chengele jon ne Amladio aha ochiamengwa ke oba Fuvio ange ponya eten ene ji wono toche wim labia wim ke vlese wonu wim bene aweto yimi yebroto mengo ke osulejo hu obabime ke oba Amladio ange ponya enu me aha ochiame se ochiame o eje asiedu wim pe la yo ochiame kejeblema ko ba wa Agovie hini ijio Agovie wa ponya eten kange mesa adu amegbo agbozo family weku kake wange ametokwami owula weku enyo ne wange bebi maujingwa kefie gbobe me ka eten kekere asafo achengwa ejesi keje Amlade nge ndeku atowim hena yo asafo ayo ochame wange pio se blema munyu chowo kan hewa mine e abehejio ewo tayami hion ke ha ewa fanse nge wa Agovie le hane tayami kechano wa Agovie no le nye Kudzragbe contingent alo Kudzragbe ko hem na kayata endo hane asafache blonya e ba pio Agovie no kom ne etu Agovie ba si pio lo ne asafacho blonya ba Agovio hene eya ji baby maujingwa fiegbo getonya nene ya asafacho acheke nene ofue pediator ne ji enyonde ka akele ji pediator ne ji enyonde o e apeno ehwam jiri sa ne pe kekele eja kan ne ye kekele o ne je ndeku atoweminge Amladio ebeji nene ndeku huma degbe the first lo jiri sa ne ba Agovio epe pediator the first se ka ndoko ya safa chombo loko ba hiyo eji kekele ni aje sigaji Agovie le se ka ndoko yembu o la ke pe pediator the second wa nu sisi wa pete ejan lo ne eje gbebi maujingwa fiegbo kukanya etendio eho ametokwami owula kanya ya ne ebiaji ne piko pedator the third ne jelejon ne eba esa ne eba Mensah adu agbozokanya very good sege jama biomio no ne agboecho ne esa ne maye asafacho ne ji nombo ajobe Mensah eke ya school kolo ebe asafacho yi endo hane no pesi kosiko lo it is on record ka nyemi menaje ndeku atowe nge amlade ne anole ekede klo akeke asafache pipoje ipase le akesu nye nonga govie ne ha ne ji Mensah adu agbozo le ke nyepeloko le wala waje si o ma wa ni mbo lo ka wa sugbe ne no ekpale keje ke ho amlade ya kan pe aboni ochami hambu wo Mensah adu agbozo biomo wa heke wom ka nge wo so apeti nga govie we ponya eton no feloko ne ema yo eye ne no ne tra govie lo wa ha le ekpale ke ho gbebi ma ojingwa fe gbebi ma no ya lo ile wa mo no se ne chacha dato ne ewie popular man no eye one no ka kene wa hebe no jeji kan ka wa gbajo kan eye o wa nombo ka kene cheke nombo tete amegbo ne e kan beli kwame angengo hiyo atugbo no la same resolution ama no bi kan atugbo no kan ne chacha dato ne ewie ne yi eye o wa nyeme na je fubie sorry aje amlade o asama wo agovie bi o me ke amamba wa no la ye munyo je tege Ada Traditional Council 1978 to 1981 le munyo enyagbegbe o committee on jama biom ke o asafache yemi ba turagobie ko turagobie there's a record to that the trobasimono se committee on jama biom adowe ficho nge judgment on ke si o ne ba turagobie o epe ameton kwa owula pe eno epe bebi ma ojingwa fiegbo bi pe ano alo epe wo Mensah adu agbozo bi pe wa no no se ake tro agovie etro agovie o we po ya telenge le kan wa de ke salami o no enyo ye epe Mensah adu bi na maye pa no lesu be de asafache mi ngege Kudzragbe agovie ji no ne opposite ko ne wa ba che o wa ye munyu ne ko asafache yemi he nge Ada Traditional Council bene wa mono se asafache ngwa tatu dato ne ewie enosion bebi family mi ne tutu ne jio wa nuka ke ni komeye ke bo amekaje ameton kwami owula kanya ke ni pan na je kakpayanya le aye eso ne akayawo no keje ameton kwami owula wiom le ato rake no tapi jan waje agovie hene chen asafache yemi o eji wo kra wa no ne odase fonsi kan egesi bole go apeti kemondo wa nombo enosion nye wa check pe ne nyewe ku herim ne jo nye bo amade ne wa ya kan pe wa no bonosin abesa dube ko ne suwo nyeke nyebe no pe onyenge no lo se achowo pewe wa nu e ne no ma nu achewa no mo wa kene kafla keje suwe ga ka suwa nyama pe wa mi ga dwom ya na ni ko menye ji o a chele ke ebana to asafache le ko na which one can the person is incapacitated lo aba na ba to Francis Tatu ru akeji ameto kwa owura bio ne wo Mensah be wale loko se ka popo to ne photo nyi ko mi wa na wa ke no bio wa candidate wa besi yin lo oya le nimeli na je Mensah adu amegbo agbozo kanya achi ayepe na aya pepe la ke no sana la nuku la God bi chachu Mensah ne agbo echo la ama enombi kale ja safache ne ki enu le ke no ewamba
okay
yo openo wa ye munyu keke clear wo ne Mensah adu family atono quickly oya wa ma wo bi ka ha the paramount chief who is the president of Ada Traditional Council Nene Abraham Kabwakwago the third ka mache ye munyu koba Kudzragbe elewa munyu saminya yaka eke opio na kaki boye hawo lo leonga edwemi no eto 9 member fact finding committee ka bori wa nuona adioke ke mache munyu ba akaya na da kwatam ne ayakojo na yiyo no aka ha legit president le sane ogake o mahane eya Ada Traditional Council ne judicial committee ne yaye seke o nyemunyu no mananya lo leche la machehi kendo kota mai ne le ayemu nyonge patam munyo anya gbegbe o no mlo no ne no ekpa ama Mensah adu amegbo agbozo we ko no bi kan nyele cha esane nyeyi no wa wolele lo wa wolele o esane ne no niche eba kande jama a committee or sorry eba kande fact-finding committee report ke hamma publicly say wamle ochibe ochenyobe ochetewa ninoko ni asibimyo eba mika ni komenge ne nada eso he nange ne nada enonyeka eko kan report o nene me na ye munwa wo wana awombi na ngma kan na nada o ha woni chum dominya waye munyu le wa hambo report bo kande mi nge blochin lo nene ha me towe lo wa choni kasu ne no nene ke bede patam ge endo ne leo kenyi ma wo court order keba ko le ko be ma ti yenya lo ha ne wa ho high court yanga kra le wa wo madamos ko ne compel e fini na dano ne kande lecture report wa ngale jon le munyufu ya no munyu na ya no ji ne me ne ato no keselamium awo won chebe wa ku noko ni chebe ke bio chebe ke bi ke is incapacitated te bi agbodo ke ba kan e ba challenge wo ne wa sure na dange Accra court kan wo ne ya sama munyu e be capacity drominya nge Accra High Court judge okay I don't need this man to give a judgment on the case before me no a strike a judge application out le a fine me 10 million ka bo ajo ejio apa o appeal ya ke High Court decision eteka nombo tebi agbozo ebe capacity o ede o appeal court will strike me out le fine me 100 million lo wange Accra High Court le wange judge of bloyene fine na da kekele gbije wa mundo se nene saki keteni the fort neji ohunwe asafa chengwa enya ke ba ke macho epanyo kan na da chome kan e maso ne abaje munyo e court ke ba ne atunge adatwaza kasoro wa ke no nene boje president wa munyo ba hambo o use ojuemi lokaye munyo bo kan report ehi no kan de wa nge madamos court ne order po won wa bi mo gbelo ko waya lo ke o pake abaje munyo wa nenya lo ma choka pa ope la ngale teke pa court the road to the court le court ko ke kenene tonyo enyo munyo ke o la munyo ke ba that traditional council that traditional council o mlai aba form 3-member judicial committee le wa ye munyo ke the 14th September 2021 ke ba si 4th May 2023 lo munyo enyamumu judgment ne wa na esane watu emunu ha oposide bi o me lo waka cho wa lawyer me le na yemi ake judgment on nyagbange he is against the evidence is against the weight of evidence no wa use the gender say is perverse is contradictory ege no mla ege no no judgment of best straightforward ege ya se kenya enya le saga wa hanen man elimbo titri wa senyeli op
leji nene
Nyamatro
leji
enu nyamatro lelo.
okay nene nge aji o nganu kwale mi o wa ye munyu le wo ne wa ye munyu wa ke judgment is perverse is against the evidence the weight of evidence ne wa adduce lo ne munyu nge no he dodo wa ke ba mi kan wa ya ke wa trono yo kan wo che me wa lo wa yi lo ga nu kwale mi o wa be wa no tro wa ge dodo wa
Mochum.